Despite the very real prospect of getting eaten alive along with everyone you've ever cared about, there's still something strangely attractive about the idea of a zombie apocalypse actually happening. Of course, I know that if the undead were to actually come back, life would be a horrific and terrifying fight for survival, but there's also something about this scenario that would just seem exciting and, dare I say it, kind of fun. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I think that deep down some of us wish we were really living in the world of The Walking Dead. So that's why in this video I'm going to count down 4 reasons why we all secretly want to live during a zombie apocalypse. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, it may seem like I'm starting things on a bit of a downer, but let me explain. In the 21st century world, we as humans, especially in the West, have life incredibly easy, and as a result we avoid doing many things that we as a species were designed to do. We don't have to hunt for food because we just get it in a supermarket. We don't have to build shelter, instead we just buy it or rent it, and we don't have to have sex because we watch too much porn. Probably should have left that last one out. Anyway, with easiness also comes boredom, and modern life at times can certainly seem very dull and formulaic. We get up, go to work, come home, sleep and do the same thing again until we have a day or two off and then go straight back. We are all spinning around on a hamster wheel instead of roaming free. However, a zombie plague could drastically change this and get us more back in touch with our animal instincts. Food would need to be gathered, shelter would have to be found and built, and sex, well, you don't have to have sex if you don't want to. I mean, you can. I don't really know where I'm going with this. The point I'm trying to make is that because daily life would become a matter of life and death, there would always be no shortage of things that needed to be done, and I don't think there would be as much time to sit around feeling bored when having the undead one step behind you. Sure, you could argue that life without your favourite TV shows and video game consoles could be classed as boring in of itself, but I'm not even sure you would need these luxuries to keep you occupied during a zombie apocalypse. Instead of simply living in a routine of working and then not working, life would be more exciting and primal. Sure, it would also be bloody scary, but you can't argue that you wouldn't get a huge rush of adrenaline from living amongst the undead. Whilst the prospect of losing everything and starting over may seem like a complete nightmare to a multi-billionaire who's living the high life, sipping champagne and eating caviar while spying on the poor, for those who may be out of luck or just in a bad place, the end of the world could be the chance for them to have a second crack at life. Telltale's The Walking Dead uses the example of Lee Everett to show how the end of the world can actually offer a chance at redemption for those who society believe are the worst. At the start of the game he's on his way to prison for murdering the man who slept with his wife, but by the end of it he'd found himself going above and beyond for a little girl who he only knew due to the circumstances that unfolded around him. The Walking Dead TV show also uses this idea when Rick arrives at the Merryweather Correctional Facility and frees the prisoners, allowing them to go on and be killed by Rick. And shot by the governor.
One time that summer.
Okay, perhaps that wasn't the best example. Moving on, with a new start also comes new opportunities to fall in love. There's been lots of different couplings on the Walking Dead TV show and in the comics since the beginning, and I guess this is down to the fact that when the world goes to shit, people tend to act on their feelings more rather than sitting on them. Perhaps the most famous Walking Dead romance is Maggie and Glenn, and without the Walker epidemic there's no way this pizza delivery boy and this pretty farmer's daughter would have ever got together. And maybe Glenn wouldn't have died either, but look, let's try and be positive here. Rick is another character whose love life has actually changed for the better since he awoke from his coma to find the shit had hit the fan. In fact, there's a pretty sinister passage in the Walking Dead comics in which Rick is talking to Michonne, whereby he actually states that he's glad the Walker outbreak happened because it caused Laurie to die and allowed him to get with Andrea, who he's much happier with. Granted, this is some messed up psychopathic levels of thinking here on display from Mr. Grimes, but you have to admit an apocalypse could be good if you hate your partner and don't want to be with them, but just don't have the money for a divorce. And no, I'm not talking about myself here just in case my wife watches and tells me off. I guess how much you get out of this point depends on how crazy you're willing to go when there's no rules governing anyone. But for the anarchists of this world, the fall of society could result in them finally being able to do whatever it is they wanted. Is there a car you like that's parked up nearby your house? Well, just go ahead and steal it. Do you like the expensive food that's on the supermarket shelf? Well, just walk out with it, no need to pay. Want to shoot your annoying neighbours who keep doing DIY in the middle of the night, and also have a dog that sits in the flat alone all day and constantly barks? Well, go and undo it, who's going to stop you?
For legal purposes, I should point out that any similarities in the example I just used with my neighbours are purely coincidental.
Well, essentially what I'm saying is that you can have and do whatever you want as long as you're willing to take it. However, when this attitude is taken by the masses, it can lead to a dog-eat-dog kind of world, in which the alphas are the ones who are in charge, which obviously isn't good for everyone. Yes, you might be able to walk out with some food and drink from the local supermarket free of charge, but you're also just as likely to get some nutcase coming into your own house and taking what they want as well. Being able to do what you want may sound like a cool concept, but you have to remember you're not invincible. Perhaps then in order to get the best out of this point, you need to make sure you end up being a Negan-S type character, i.e. someone who is in charge of a large group of people who can make their own rules and do what they want within their own community. That way you can do what you wish without worrying about being killed immediately after. Okay, this last entry is going to be very quick because there's not a lot to it really, because surely we can all agree that being able to kill a zombie seems pretty cool. I mean, come on, admit it, when we imagine ourselves in a zombie scenario, we've all thought about launching a knife into a zombie's skull or landing a perfectly placed headshot on one of the undead bastards. There's just something about killing a zombie that would get the blood racing. Being able to walk around with your own signature weapon, just like Michonne with a katana, and chop, slice and dice the walking corpses is something we all secretly want to do at least once. Yeah, it may get exhausting and dare I say it even a bit boring after a while, but fighting the undead does seem kind of fun, that is until you get bitten. So there's 4 reasons why we all secretly want a zombie apocalypse. Please let me know your thoughts below as well as any reasons that I may have missed out on. As always, thank you very much for watching and until next time, goodbye.